Morning, evening, afternoon, everyone. Thought I'd do another talk on some of the stuff that I used to teach at workshops, spirituality and all that sort of stuff. And I want to talk on self-centered, egocentric versus God-centered and God-centric. And a while ago, maybe a week ago, I put up online 9 pages, I think it was, of a book. And the book talks about creation giving us instincts for a purpose. And without these instincts, we wouldn't be complete human beings. And it went into a social instinct, being our self-esteem, our pride, personal relationships, and it went into the security instinct, which was material financial security and emotional security. But emotional security was in the form of codependency, right? Being overly dependent on someone. And there was a sex instinct. And I've brought some sheets along that I normally use at my workshops to explain it. So, if you see those, well, it's backwards. Anyway, it's you got your basic instincts of life, which create self. And we got self-esteem in the social instinct, what we think of ourselves, high or low. We got personal relationships, which is our relationships with other human beings and the world around us. And then pride, an excessive or unjustified opinion of oneself, either positive self-love or negative self-hate. And look at the bottom, these are the ambitions, our plans to gain acceptance, power, recognition, where are we? Recognition, etc. These are the obsessions we get, we go after, we're obsessed with it. Then you look at the security instinct, being material, financial, which is wanting money, property, buildings, clothing, etc. in order to be secure in the future. And emotional, which is based on our needs for another person or persons. Some tend to dominate and some are overly dependent on others. It's not emotional pain. And then there's our ambitions there, our plans to gain material wealth, dominate or to depend on others. Then there's a sex instinct. It's our sex lives as accepted by society, God's principles and our own principles. And then you've got the hidden one, our sex lives that are contrary to either society, God's principles, or our own principles. And our plans regarding our lives are either acceptable or hidden. Now, the hidden ones are the ones that create so much shame, right? And that shame ends up on our conscience and it runs around. But that's not what I want to talk about. What I want to talk about is relationships and comparing relationships with material financial security, a job, right? Now, you got to remember, we've learnt these attitudes. We learnt by watching others how we need to get these instincts met. And what we do is we adapt that in our own lives, and when we don't get what we want, then we come out with resentments, right, which is on the bottom. I've got to have a look at this, which is resentments. And resentments, to refeel. The Latin word for resentment is to refeel, right? So we start to refeel feelings of bitter hurt. Where are we? Right? Feelings of bitter hurt or indignation, which come from rightly or wrongly held feelings of being injured or offended. Then you've got fear, your fears are feelings of anxiety, agitation, uneasiness, apprehension, etc. And then you've got the harms and hurts, wrong acts that result in pain, hurt feelings, worry, financial loss, etc. for others and also oneself. And every time we do hurt to other people, we carry a lot of guilt and shame from that. But we don't know that's what's happening. All we know is it's playing on our conscience and we're in a lot of trouble, right? And what it boils down to is fear. So I'm frightened that one of my instincts aren't going to be met, or I'm frightened that someone's going to interfere with it. And that's what creates the resentment. And once you've got the resentment, you get angry. And then when you get angry, you've got to hurt people to get your instincts met, right? And that is self-centered, egocentric at work. Now, I've lost the sheet, but what I've done is I've drawn a sheet up, right? And you've got here, which is self-centered, where self goes around and trying to fulfill those instincts because he's frightened that they're not going to be met, right? So whether it's the social instinct being your self-esteem, your personal relationships, or your pride, or your security instinct being material, financial security, or emotional security, and your sex instinct, right? So it makes no difference. We get frightened that they're not going to be met. So what we then do is we go and get them met, and we step on people's toes and they retaliate. We hurt people. We fucking hurt people trying to get what we want, right? But the sad thing is we don't realise that that boomerang gets turned against us, right? Because we get stuck with the fear, the guilt, the shame from that. And that puts us into a state in the consciousness, where we carry it and we become so restless, irritable, discontented, and we need to shut the conscience up. Now, there's many ways. There's 280 different addictions known in the world, right? To numb our conscience, right? But when you look at the God-centered person, right? The God-centered person will let God look after those instincts, right? He'll become dependent on God for self-esteem. He'll become dependent on God for personal relationships and pride. He'll become dependent on God for material, financial security. And he'll become emotionally dependent on God when he has that emotional pain, right? And the sex instinct, he waits. He becomes dependent on God for that. God will put people in the path when it's right and within God's time and God's rules and laws, one man, one woman, till death do you part, whatever the case is, which is going to bring me to a next topic I want to talk about is separation, right? People hurt a lot because of separation, and they don't understand. And when you do understand, right, when you look at a relationship with these instincts, right, where's my other sheet? You look at your relationship in your social instinct, the second one, right? Now, a personal relationship work properly, right? You've got to remember, work properly, right? A personal relationship will give you good self-esteem. It'll give you material financial security, and it'll give you the right emotional security, and it'll also give you the sex instinct.
The Bluetooth device.
Damn it. Right? So that's the right way of doing it, provided it's with God, in God's timing, God's world, right? But self-centered comes along, and self-centered says, right, you hurt my self-esteem, now I'm going to get resentful because you didn't give me what I want, right? So pride gets hurt there as well, right? Or emotional security becomes so overly dependent on people that, if they don't do what you want, you're going to manipulate, you're going to do whatever you want to dominate the person, right? And the whole thing is, if it's a God-given relationship, it should work, right? Which, when you look at the other thing that I want to bring in is a job, right? Now, when you look at a job, right, a job deals with material financial security, right? So emotional security as well, because you're emotionally dependent on that money, right, to pay for your material financial security, whether it's your house, whether it's food, whatever the case is, right? So a job does exactly the same thing. But what's happened is the system has turned us away from God and made these priority obsessions, right? So you got to wear good clothes to have good self-esteem. You got to have a good-looking lady for personal relationships, right? You got to be overly dependent on people because the system tells you to. You got to own a house. You got to have all this sort of stuff. Look at the hidden sex instinct. We got pornos. We got all this sort of stuff, right, that the system has people addicted to, right? Some people will use the hidden sex instinct, which is unacceptable by God, to gain material security, money, that they can buy things to raise their own self-esteem and pride, right? So there's thousands of different patterns. For every resentment, there is a pattern. So if you've got 600 resentments, you've got 600 patterns. If you've got 3,000 resentments, you've got 3,000 patterns, right? Now look at a job, right? When you go for a job, you apply for that job, right? I've written down some notes. You apply for that job. You send in your resume, and the reason you apply for that job is because it looks good, right? You like it. You're attracted to that job, right? But once you're there, you've got to follow rules, right? If the boss says something to you and you don't like it, quit, right? You're free to quit that job and go and find another job if that's what you want to do, right? If you don't do the work, the boss fires you. You can't do what you want when you want. You're not going to keep your job. You're going to lose your job, right? And the sad thing is, if you got fear of that job, you're not going to get that job, you're not going to go for that job, guess what happens? Someone else sends in their resume, someone else applies for that job, and someone else gets that job, right? So you got to do the job properly. As soon as you go into that job the very first day, the boss or leading hand trains you, because I don't know nothing about that job. So the leading hand comes in and he trains you and he shows you exactly what you need to do to have that job done, the exact way that he likes it done, right? And it works vice versa. You might find a different way of doing it, a quicker way of doing it, and that's fine, right? Relationships are the same, right? If you like someone, go for it. Put in your resume. Do whatever you need. Do the job interviews. Do everything you need to do. But you've got to remember, God has a set of rules that you have to follow. You know, so does the individuals, right? They have that, you know, those rules as well, where they're simple rules. And they need to be followed in order for them to have the relationship work. They need both people to work it to get it working. Right? And it's the same deal. If you don't like the job, quit. If you don't like the relationship, quit. Don't stay in there based on fears of codependency, emotional security, or fears of material financial security. It's the same as a job. If you got the guts to walk out on a job and look for another job, that's great, because it just shows that you're not obsessed with that material financial security. It means you have faith that you're going to find another one, right? It's basically, if you don't do the work, you get fired. Someone else is going to get the position. If you don't want it, don't apply. Someone else will go. Someone else is going to apply for the position. But that's up to people, right? If their fears are going to stop them and keep them stuck in a fucking shitty job, right, that abuses them, right, that underpays them, undercuts them, and all that sort of shit, that is that person's own fault, right? Walk out. Find a new job. It's simple. We've done it so many times, right? The job has to be done properly. If the job isn't done properly, you either quit. If you think the boss is overbearing, unjust, unreasonable, you quit. If you're underpaid, quit. Right? If you think the job is a great job and all that, you got to follow the rules. You got to do it the way that the boss wants it done in order to keep your job. Right? It's like a business, you know, a business. It goes two ways. 50-50. If I'm running a business and I've got a business partner with me, right, I want them to go 50-50 with me, right? I don't want them coming into my business saying good morning, then disappear for 6-7 hours and leave me with the business, running the business all by myself. Customers are being held back and all that sort of stuff because there's only one of us working here, you know? So it's needs to be worked, the business, you know. It's like you go into a restaurant and you're buying this food, and then all of a sudden you see rats running around the counter and on the floor and all that. You know, it's a bad friggin' environment. And that's all you're seeing is these rats running around. You see the salesperson, whatever, the cashier, he's got fucking dirt all over him, his top's all dirty, right? You look at that business and you say, never going back. Never going back. There's rats everywhere, rats all around the fucking food, you know. You got rats just everywhere, you got stale food, you got out-of-date products, and that's the stuff that they're feeding me. Right? What you do is you walk out of that job, out of that business, that restaurant, and you don't go back. Maybe 3 months, 5 months, 10 months later, whatever. The business is going to go broke. Don't worry about that. The business is going to go broke. Whether mentally, emotionally, physically, or spiritually, the business is going to go broke. No doubt. Right? Unless it gets put under new management. And we've seen that. We've gone through a lot of businesses. We've gone, you know, and we go into businesses. We see how shitty it is. We disappear. We go back. We see it's under new management. Right? And we go have a sticky beak and we look in and we think, okay, the tables look pretty good. The chairs are looking pretty good. Oh, look, the floor is spotless. You know, it's all new. It's fully renovated. It is a beautiful place. So you go and order the meal. That's beautiful. And you just keep going back. Because you like it. And they changed. It went under new management. And you make it a regular thing that you go to. The same as a job. You like that job, you keep going. You keep going. You know, how many of us have hated a job and we've taken days off work? Yet we like a job and we attend every time, every day. We go to work and we love it. And the same as a relationship. If you love the relationship, you attend to it every day. You look after it every day. You feed into it every day. If you don't like the relationship, that's fine. Quit. You know, quit.
The Bluetooth device is ready to pair.
You know,
The Bluetooth device is connected successfully.
These are the obsessions. This is what's fucking up the conscience. This is really wrecking people's heads. What the system has done, getting them addicted to this stuff. Right, and like I said in my other talk, the division between God and people. Right, because God has all the power, right? And that's what I do. I look at things from a different way, right? And the 9 pages or whatever it was that I shared a while back, it said every emotional disorder is due to a case of misdirected instinct, right? So anytime anyone is in emotional pain, it's because of one of these is out of whack. Is that the right way? Yep. And when they're out of whack, it gives you a resentment. It'll give you a fear. And it'll give you a harm. You know, you're going to hurt people to get what you want. And that is basically what makes up self-will. And most people are extreme examples of self-will run riot. And this is the stuff that needs to be fixed, right? This is the stuff that is running rampant in the conscience that has created obsessions that the system wants people addicted to. You know, I hope this helps people, you know. Again, if you like this stuff, by all means share it, because the only thing I want to do here is help people with the knowledge that I have and the knowledge that I use, right? Because the whole thing is, if you can have a look at things a different way than what the system wants you to see them, right, you'll be okay. There'll be no emotional pain. There'll be no instincts ran riot, right? It'll be just a full-on going with the flow sort of thing. You know, I'm going to sort of stop there. The last one took like friggin' 2 days to upload. I just want to put on...
Never been so alive, coming to feast and be at the very highest of times, taking a leap of faith. You finally arise, you can compete, you reach the level close to the eyes.
One proof, look what you've grown from. Remember days of pain when you felt so numb. Remember days of rain, but there was no one to offer you help and love, not even to show some. You made it far, now there's no one to spawn. No one to match you, just look at your scars.
I'll see what I can do about self-esteem and pride in the next one, you know. We all do dishonest things to lift our own self-esteem and pride. So that'll be the next one I talk about.
Never doubt. Remember when they told you you'd fail when they doubted. You're looking for your purpose and you finally found it. Millions of tears later and you're feeling this town. You're the beast, the least, you've never been so alive. Coming to feast and be at the very highest of times. Taking a leap of faith so you can finally arise. Who can compete? You reach the level close to divine. You're the beast, the least, you've never been so alive. Coming to feast and be at the very highest of times. Taking a leap of faith so you can finally arise. Who can compete? You reach the level close to divine. Falling in love with the view. In the top 3, you are not 3 and not 2. In case you're not getting it, let me give you a clue. Under the sky, there's no one that's flying higher than you. Think of the times when you felt too afraid. Think of the times when you cried while you prayed. think of the times when you worked while it rained. Now those same times are finally due to be paid. They made you a warrior, outstanding, victorious, notorious for being a champ. You are glorious, meant to be great. It was written even before the birth of time. You rise as the greatest out of us all. No matter what's going on, just keep on pushing. At the other side of pain lies all you've been wishing. Every situation you've ever been put in was just an obstacle you've crossed to find your purpose. You're a beast, the least you've never been so alive. Coming to feast and be at the very highest of times. Taking the leap of faith so you can finally arise. Who can compete? You've reached the level close to divine. You're a beast, the least you've never been so alive. Coming to feast and be at the very highest of times. Taking the leap of faith so you can finally arise. Who can compete? You've reached the level close to divine. Now tell me, didn't they pay off? Days you were tired so much you felt like you'd break off. Didn't they show you truly what you are made of? A diamond in the rough, truly beautifully shaped up. You've always known that someday you would take off, despite all the hate and bad comments that they all told you when you were building a platform to sail on. Now they like to hop on, but the ship has sailed off. You're a beast, the least you've never been so alive. Coming to feast and be at the very highest of times. Taking a leap of faith so you can finally arise. Who can compete? You've reached the level close to divine. You're a beast, the
Just remember, guys, it's these ambitions that we've locked into our consciousness that we really need to be rid of, because this is what's creating the unmanageability within our own conscience. This is what's stuffing us all up and turning us to a substance or something, the false god I call it, to quiet down the consciousness. Only that makes things a whole lot worse, you know, and that's a sad thing. And anyone wants to know any more about this stuff, by all means, private message me, right? Because I've been doing this stuff for 34 years. I've just decided to start doing it online now because it's something that I've really loved doing, and my conscience has told me that I need to get this stuff out online, right? I'm looking at getting a whiteboard so I can actually workshop the whole thing. Yeah, so we'll see how it goes. But like I said, if anyone wants to know anything, by all means, call out. Right? Call out, because people have conquered this stuff. And that's what we do. We try to teach people the same deal on how to conquer it. How to get rid of self-centered, egocentric, and become God-centered and God-centric. Right? Get rid of the system and all the system's beliefs by believing in God. Having faith in God, right? He's the one that's got the power. He's the one that's going to remove your emotional pain. He's the one that's going to help you recover from everything that the system's gone and done to you. Anyway, guys, catch you next time. Like I said, if there's anything you need to know, ask me. By all means, please ask. We're here to help. Anyway, guys, take care.